And then, I would play drums at my house and kids would come over and they would ask, oh man, do you play this song? Do you play that song? And then I remember them telling me about some guitar player that lived. Yeah, I did win the bet, Chris. I did.
Yeah.
And then they told me about this guy that lived probably about 4 blocks away.
There's a guy. He's in
There's
your
a guy.
neighbor. He's in your neighborhood, and he
He's
plays
4 blocks.
guitar. And he plays
Yeah.
guitar.
Yeah, plays guitar.
Right.
And I said, oh, okay. And at that time, I had a job where I was, a delivery boy. Pizza delivery boy. Right. I was fucking 15 years old.
Oh, you had that job too?
What's that?
I said, you had that job too?
That job too, man. Yeah. And then I was probably 16. Yeah, I was 16 at that time. And I remembered during one of my deliveries, I drove by and I saw this curly hair dude, kind of long, watering the lawn, watering his grass. And so I stopped, immediately pulled over, and I said, hey, I heard you play guitar. And, just like that, just random conversation. I said, I play drums. I said, let's jam one day. Let's get together. And he said, yeah, come over. I'll show you my guitars, plural, not just one. And that was one of the things that, those guys told me that, he's some, yeah, there's a guy there that has a collection of guitars, and don't want to say what I wanted to say or what they had said. So I went back and he had this whole list. Apparently he was already playing in bands. He was already playing in a band called Quits, and who that year or the year before, I saw them play a talent show at Southgate Park Auditorium.
Oh, wow.
He was standing stage right. There was another guitar player. No, he was standing stage left. Another guitar player stage right, and there was this bass player that played bass and sang. And
let me just impress on the audience too. You guys are in your early teens, right? You guys are like 15, 16 years old, right?
Yes, I was at that time 16. Kerry's a year older than me. He was probably 17.
Got it.
Yeah, and so I went back and to his house. I saw his collection of guitars, and he gave me a list of songs that he knew, on guitar. It's like, wow, I know this one. I said, yeah, we should get together and jam. And he asked me where I lived, and we were just 4 blocks away. He came over my house, and I'll never forget it. I think he had a Fender half stack. We jammed in my garage. And after I think we jammed like about 3 or 4 times, he said, hey, I have this guitar player I'm thinking about bringing in. And sure enough, it was Hanneman.
Wow.
And there's this blonde-haired surfer dude comes in with his tiny little amp. He had like a little Fender Twin. Had to have been a little Fender Twin. It was, no comparison to Kerry's,
Sure.
back. Kerry always had a little bit more than everyone else. And and then after a couple rehearsals with Hanneman, Kerry said, hey, there's a singer that I think might fit the band. Let's go over his house. And so we all went over.
Because excuse me, God forbid we're not calling him, and there's no internet, so let's all go over to his house and just
knock on the door. Hey, check out this new drummer. And so I played for Tom or Kerry and I and Jeff. We all played together, and Tom was like, okay. And the drummer they had I think his name was Jimmy.
Uh,
Uh, I don't know if it was Tom's older brother that said, "Oh man, he's better than Jimmy." And so, sure enough, I think at that point, that's where the band finally, yeah,
and
that's that,
Jimmy just fades into the swirling sands of time. Jimmy
yeah.
just
Poor
just
Jimmy.
like that.
Yeah. Poof. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Was Tom brought? Did you was Tom brought in as a singer, or right off the bat he was a singer bass player?
Right off the bat, singer, bass player.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Then uh, later we tried to audition some singers,
Yeah.
but their ego was bigger than, than anything we were able to comprehend at that time.
Sure.
So it wasn't an option. We just went ahead and moved forward as the quartet that we were.
And how did you arrive at the Slay Your Name, and what was like the first shows like, and I know I'm heaping a lot here. Was there a mission statement?
I think we were all on the same trajectory. We all wanted to
Right.
be rock stars. We all
Yeah.
wanted to be massive. But I think under all that, we all just loved to play,
Right.
and I think our dedication to our instrument and music in general was just something that was in our bloodstream.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's us, man.
And I know that's a little later. I mean, a couple years later, but I just thought it's a great shot of four young guys that are making a run at it.
Yeah, yeah. At that time, look, Tom has a Def Jam shirt on,
Yeah. So
so
it's a little later.
suppose
Yeah.
this was 80, 85,
Yeah.
85.
This one here is sort of the kind of, I think this is 80 81. That this could be a very early Slayer show.
Yep, there's my drum set. Yep, that
Yeah.
was no, that was not a Slayer show. That was inside Tom's garage,
Oh.
uh, possibly. Yeah, we had the garage all set up, like as if it was a stage.
Yeah, look
And
at
we
those.
built
Look at is that Kerry on the platform on the right, like doing it, right?
Yeah, we built those. We built those, guitar risers, and
Awesome.
we had lights underneath them. And we would build our own pyro with, there was a gun shop, in our city, and they would have gunpowder for sale. And so we powder, and we would create these pots where we would put two nails, an electrical wire, that goes into the wall.
Oh my
And
God.
we were fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
and we would have two nails, like on a piece of wood, two nails sticking up, and then we would get a piece of brass wire, and then fill and have a metal coupling and pipe, and we would fill it up with gunpowder, and then plug it into the wall. The little filament would, little brass filament would burn, and ignite the gunpowder, and eventually.
Who was the technician behind that? Like who's the one that put that? Who said let's do this? Like who pulled that together? That's pretty bold.
Where Hanneman and I, we would go see. Well, at that time, okay, to answer your question, we had some guy that was helping us out at that time. His name was Steve Craig, local manager. He managed some other at that time. So he was throwing in all these ideas, into the pot, and we would eat it up, man. We'd be like, hell yeah, man, let's do that. But Hanneman and I would go see Wasp in the early,
yeah. Sure.
and they would have pyro, in small clubs and fire, And
Yeah.
we said, man, we got to do this. We got to bring fire
Yeah.
uh, into our set, and then slowly we started incorporating that until things got so dangerous. We would burn like some, there was one time this guy Steve, he poured a little too much gunpowder in one of the pipes, and burned all of the gels in the lights
Yeah.
at the venue. I don't know. That might have happened in. Damn! Look at that.
Look at the bod on that kid, huh?
Damn, man.
Gee, look at the bod on that kid, boy. You know, Oof.
Oh,
Yeah,
gee.
this looks early on in the game.
Yeah,
I was thinking of how you mentioned Blackie, right, and Wasp, right, and there
yeah,
was a lot of bands in your area then. Uh, Back then, I guess a lot, that were doing. I think Motley Crue was doing the same kind of stuff, and
yeah,
even early Van Halen. Everybody had like some pyro going on,
yeah, and a lot of hairspray,
Yeah,
and that was
right.
something that we really weren't into. We
Yeah,
weren't into
right.
all of that, and that picture right there that you're seeing is, you know, right when Jeff had shaved his head and
Wow.
became a punk, and so his hair is barely growing out there.
Wow.
So that was shortly after he cut his hair. We started getting into more metal, metal-esque, style of music, and the attire, and the attitude.